This is the March 22nd regular meeting of the Montgomery Independent School Board. I'd like to call this meeting to order. It is 6:01 p.m. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. All right, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Morrison, are there any special recognitions tonight?
Dr. Fuller, there are some amazing special recognitions that we get to do tonight. One of the fun parts about our board meeting is being able to celebrate the excellence of our employees throughout Montgomery ISD. We have amazing employees, and I don't want to ever say there's one group that works harder than the other. I can guarantee that there has been no group of people that we have presented to you for recognition that work harder than the group of folks that we are going to recognize tonight. They bring professionalism, amazing work ethic. There's not enough hours in the day for the task that they've been asked to do. But the work that they do is absolutely critical for us to make sure that we are treating each student with respect, dignity, and giving them the academic progress that they need and deserve in Montgomery ISD. So I'm going to ask Justin Moreno, our Executive Director of Communications, to step forward and tell you a little bit about who we're going to be recognizing tonight. And you know how important they are, because what are they getting, Justin?
We will have a video
there you
after
go.
we recognize them. But this month was Special Ed Diagnosticians Recognition Month in the state of Texas. We thought it was a fitting and appropriate time to recognize this very hard-working group of individuals. There's been a lot of unsung heroes in education over the past couple of years, and this group truly is a group that needs to be recognized, appreciated, and all the work they do, oftentimes behind the scenes, oftentimes unrecognized, we're so thankful and blessed to have them in our district. So I'm going to call each of them up one by one. If you would come up, I have a certificate to give to you. Take a picture with the board, and then we will play the video to recognize your hard work. So first, I have Kim Bubella. Carol Chicas. Aleda De Leon. Lori Dettenheim. Carrie Fuller. Julie Holmes. Heather Lilly. Jacqueline Moore. Carol Pugh. And Vanya Turvov.
If you guys scoot up a little, then some of the board members can go behind you. If you want to. Not really, no. I'm going to get the whole thing. Oh, wow, that's still on. I can't see. There we go. 1, 2, 3.
I make sure that all the special ed students get the services that they need, whether or not that is making sure they get the correct accommodations that they need or the modified curriculum that they need.
We gather all the data, the historical data, educational data, to see where the student is struggling, and then from there we do a battery of assessments, formal assessments, and I explain to them, this is what they're going to see. These are kind of the examples of testing that we might do.
To see where their strengths and weaknesses are, and if they qualify for special education, and where the program would best suit them, where they'd be the best suit, so they can be successful.
Some of them just need that accommodation, just need that emotionality, just need that inclusion support in the classroom. And then you've got some students that need, the physical therapy, the occupational therapy, the adaptive PE. It's a broad spectrum of children that we are able to help. Counseling is going to deal with counselors. We do have a special ed counselor, and they deal with the emotionality of a student and whether or not they need to have that opportunity to discuss emotional issues that are going on in the classroom or in their life. As far as what our job is, we are here to make sure that they are getting the proper accommodations, modifications, and making sure that so that they are able to be successful and on a level playing field with the other students in the classroom.
It's very, very dependent on data. We have used norm reference tests, also teacher information grades, so a great deal of this data. Also, we interview the student and teachers, so we get a full range.
We are more of the analytical thinkers. Okay, we need to see data, we need to see numbers, and we need to observe the child. And so we don't cross the social emotional piece because we're just trying to see what struggles are you having in the classroom, and we're going to try to get to the bottom of that.
The most rewarding thing is definitely seeing kids progress. See them finally saying, oh, I finally have some help.
Whenever I have that one-on-one, when I'm testing a student, we have a connection, and we build a great rapport, and then in the hallway I get hugs. I get, hey, Miss DeLeon, how are you? Or, hey, I know you. And I say, are you reading? Are you learning? I will come check on you.
I just enjoyed doing the assessments with children and figuring out exactly how you could help a child be successful in the classroom. I've had so many parents come up to me and tell me, oh my gosh, you've just helped my child so much. And figuring out what he needed in the classroom or what she needed to help her be successful in the classroom. And that makes you feel really good.
Well, on behalf of the school board, I'd like to say a sincere thank you for all the work that you do every day to help our students. You're doing God's work, and we're greatly appreciative of all the things that you do to help everyone. So once again, I would like to say, please join us thanking them again. All right, are there any other special recognitions or presentations, Dr. Morrison?
There are not.
All right.
But Dr. Fuller, one thing I would say is because these folks, one thing I will say about all of them, they never have enough time to do all the things that are on their busy schedule. So if you want to stay for the whole show, stay. But in recognition of your busy time, don't feel the need to be here for the whole board meeting. So thank you.
All righty. Are there any public comments, Ms. Alcantar? There are no registered public comments. Next, board, we will focus on the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
A motion to approve the consent agenda as
All right,
presented.
Mr. Hopkins, is there a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Porton, is all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed and abstained? That motion or the consent agenda carries as presented. We are on to action item 6A, consider approval of instructional materials allotment and TEAC certification for 22-23.
Thank you, Dr. Fuller. We're going to ask Dr. Mark Weatherly, our Executive Director of Curriculum Instruction, to come forward. This is an annual process, but an important one, and we wanted Dr. Weatherly to give you a little bit more context before we ask for your vote.
All right. Good evening, Dr. Fuller, school board members. Thank you for this opportunity to
talk to you real briefly about what we are required to do on an annual basis. In your board packet that we provided to you, we gave you the list of materials that we currently purchase with our IMA funds. IMA stands for Instructional Materials Allotment, just so that everybody who's in attendance tonight will know that that's what we do. But each year, our districts are required to certify to the State Board of Education and the Commissioner for each subject that we teach and that we have to teach, that students have access to the instructional materials that cover all the Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills. So with the amount of money that we have allotted to us and that's in your packet, those are the materials that we do spend our money on. Also, everything that is included in that list is on the TEA approved instructional materials list. And so it's already been vetted by TEA so that we don't have to go out and vet it ourselves. That has already been done for us. And so,
Dr. Weatherly, when you say vetted through TEA, vetted for what?
Vetted for us to be able to teach that to our students.
So aligned with the Texas Educational Knowledge and Standards?
Yes, sir. And that's also called our TEKS. So when you hear us say TEKS, as you know in education we use a lot of acronyms. Those are basically the objectives in layman's terms that we are required to teach all of our students. Okay? And so what we are asking you tonight is to approve to certify to the State Board of Education, the Commissioner of Education, that for each subject in the required curriculum that students have access to instructional materials that cover all the Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills. Are there any questions? Okay, thank you.
All right, board members, if there are no questions, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve to certify the State Board of Education, Commissioner of Education, that for each subject in the required curriculum, students have access to instructional materials that cover all the Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Turner? All right, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed and abstain? That motion carries. I hope Ms. Alcantar got the entire language on that one from Mr. Hammonds. Thank you.
I can read it slower if you need me to.
All righty. Next, item 6B, employee incentive stipend.
Thank you, Dr. Fuller. We are very excited about bringing this action item to you. As you know, in April, we will present to you the compensation plan for our employees. And as you know, we have made it a huge focus in Montgomery ISD to get our compensation for our employees to be able to be competitive with our regional school districts. And through your actions in last year's budget, we took a huge stand towards that, and we will make that a point of focus again for the compensation plan that you will review in April. However, we have felt the need to go above that, and even before we get to salary increases, there are some things that we want to do to make sure that the amazing employees that we have in Montgomery ISD, some of whom you got to honor tonight in our special recognition, know how much we value them, and we want them to see that recognition and see that appreciation, not just through salary compensation, but through an incentive plan we want to present tonight. To do that, I'm going to ask our Executive Director of Human Resources, Denise Miner, to share what we are asking for your vote.
Thank you. Dr. Fuller and members of the board, in order to recognize our employees for their dedication to MISD and continue to be competitive with our neighboring districts to hire highly qualified staff, an employee incentive stipend entitled We Are Montgomery Incentive Plan is being requested for approval for the board. If you'll take a look, what we're asking is that we be able to give each of our employees $1,000 for the 22-23 school year. This will be paid out in 2 times. The first in December and the second in May. And then for our high need positions, we are asking to be able to provide an additional $500, which would be provided in September. And those high needs areas are in our specialized learning areas, our bus drivers and monitors, and our bilingual and Spanish teachers.
So again, just to, for clarity, this is one-time bonuses or stipends. We would utilize the remaining portions of our ESSER funding, which is the federal funding that came with COVID. As our board knows, we got a very small amount of ESSER funding compared to most of the districts across the state of Texas, but budgets reflect your priorities, and our highest priority is our employees. And so we want to use the remaining part of our ESSER funds and then some of the fund balance that we were able to put back into our budget this year to cover this. But we just believe that this is an essential part of an overall compensation package. But because part of this is to make sure that our employees feel that recognition and support, not just through what we say, but what we do, we wanted to get out in front of the compensation plan that will come to you in April.
All right, questions or discussion?
Thank you.
Ms. Minor, I have one. It's actually probably for Mr. Lynn. Chris, you know what it's going to be. Can we afford it? Yes, sir. I ask that every time we come to something, just so the public knows, we have made tremendous strides financially, and we don't want to do anything that throws that out of whack. So if we can afford this, I stand pretty firmly in favor of it, because we need to keep our folks here, and there is competition that we're facing now, not just from neighboring districts, but even regionally and throughout the state and nation. So I stand firmly in favor of it. Are there any questions or comments?
Real quick, to specify, so if someone is hired for a high need position for next fall, will they receive the $500 in September, or is this for only people that are staying and are already currently here?
It would be for both.
Okay.
Other questions? Then do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the employee incentive plan.
All right, Mr. Dennison, a second.
Second.
Mr. Hopkins, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? That motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, that takes us through all of our action items tonight. Next, we have some information items. Item 7A, Synergistic update, which I'm actually kind of weirdly excited about.
So, Dr. Fuller, as I get ready to turn this over to Chris Lynn, part of your question about how are we going to pay for this, we try to pay for all the things in our budget by being incredibly efficient with taxpayer dollars. And so one of the things that we brought to you last year as a board was to help us manage our resources wisely, and to know when there are things beyond our scope or capacity to dive into. And one of them is around energy management, and that takes on a lot of different levels. And you all voted to support our recommendation. And so we also promised you at that time that we would come back to update the board and our community. So with that, our Assistant Superintendent of Finance and Operations, Chris Lynn, is going to share with you a little bit about progress to date and our guests that are here this evening.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Dr. Morrison. Good evening, Dr. Fuller, members of the board. This is going to be the best board meeting ever, because this is all you're going to get to see of me tonight. So we're going to run through this real quick. But I do have two special guests here, Doug Bilyeu and Wayne Coldron of Synergistic, and so they're going to walk you through some cost avoidance and some things that they've been doing in this energy program since we hired them. So, Wayne.
Okay, great. Dr. Morrison, board, thanks for having us. I'm excited to give this, especially on the heels of that you guys are trying to put a statement out there for you folks. That's very exciting. Start off, we partnered back in May, and I have data through January, and thus, so far, we're at 19.3% overall savings, our utility budget compared to prior year. $731,000. I don't know if Chris approves, but I'd like to roll it up to $732,000. We didn't discuss that. The blue line there, the blue dotted line there, that is your energy consumption in what we call the base year. That's the previous 6 months to the time that we partnered. The green line there is the line of the consumption since the partnership. I'd like to say that in-house, myself had a lot to do with that. Your in-house energy specialist who is hired, employed by us, but embedded here. But we couldn't do it without your fantastic maintenance team. Joe Kynard and his team have really been astronomical with that. So we really appreciate their support. So that's a KBTU number, and as you can see there, the energy saved since beginning of the program would be enough to run all of your elementary schools in that same time frame. So pretty interesting fact that our M&V gurus came up with. Since the beginning of the program, your base year, you were at 9 cents per kilowatt hour on electricity. Since then, through the Snowmageddon, demand fees, pass-through charges, your all-in rate has gone up to about 11 cents per kilowatt hour, which, if you continued to operate the way that you did in the base year, would have added another $630,000. And then that next chart there, the annual electricity use with the blue, that consumption there, that's 31 million kBTU, compared to the reduction since the beginning of the energy program of 25 million kBTU. So even with that increase in cost, we're still seeing some great savings, and it's because of the reduction. Again, it's not just the maintenance program, maintenance team either. It's across the district. You guys probably see flyers, and we go out there, there's a lot of operational stuff, but it's also a lot of behavioral stuff. Your embedded energy specialist is Ken Buchholz. He shows up here from time to time, and I think Chris has said, hey, well, you have a life, you're always showing up at these board meetings. And he said, well, I just want to know what's going on around the community. Ken Buchholz has been with Synergistic with a former client in the DFW area, moved down here because he loved the community and took on this role, so he's experienced, and I'm happy to have him here. He is not here tonight because he's actually in Dallas getting certifications for his continued education on irrigation and water conservation. Continue that. But since the beginning of the program, he has conducted 589 audits in your buildings, again, since May, and the majority of those need to be in the buildings. Unoccupied is predominantly where we want to be. We want to master that unoccupied time. Of course, when teachers and students are in the building, everything's going to be running, it's going to be on, we're going to air condition them to the right temperatures, et cetera, make sure everybody's comfortable, but we want to master the unoccupied, so that's where you'll find him weekends, nights, and holidays. EUI, what EUI is, you take, it's a KBTU number, it's your electricity and your natural gas, it's a blended rate divided by square footage. So in your base year, it was 69 EUI, and we brought that down 20% to a 54. Our goal is to have that under a 40. And so if I go back to the cost avoidance thus far, if we cut that number down even further, you're going to see even greater savings. We're excited about that. There's work to be done. There's work to be done, but that's the goal. And of course, that chart down there shows you monthly what that cost avoidance has been. And we see the holidays and summers right around the corner. That's a really big opportunity. We're going to go after everything we can for you. Here's the environmental impact. The amount of energy reduced by Montgomery since the program, electricity and natural gas, is equivalent to 26 million kBTUs, 4,000 metric tons of CO2. I'm going to call that 5 million pounds of coal burned, or 540 million smartphones charged. That's all I have for that. Is there any questions from anybody about what we're up to? Or
I have one on,
sure.
You mentioned the EUI, that you've done a great job getting it from 69 to 54, and so that's 15 points, and we're looking at, so we're about halfway there to get to 40. Is that realistic, getting to 40?
I think so. It's our goal, and partnering up with Joe Conard and his team, I really do believe that we can get there, and that's not going to affect comfort in the learning environment. We're going to capture all that outside of the learning environment.
Great.
We speak to that a little bit more because for our viewing public, I don't want, are we making the classrooms really cold when they should be warm, or really hot when it should be cool?
We're only going to make them cold if they ask it, they want it cold, right? But there are limitations there. If there's students in there, we don't want to drive that set point down to 67 degrees for cooling. That's too cold. But no, we have guidelines, set points that are reasonable, and what's agreed to by the district. It's actually your guidelines that gives us our operational structure. The majority of what we're going to do then, we have techs come in to work with your techs, your in-house technicians, and we also bring in engineers to optimize the equipment so that it's operating the way it was designed to operate. So if you have a piece of equipment that's 10, 12, 15 years old, there's dials on that thing, and it's been turned over the years and over the years and over the years, and we try to bring that back to the specs, how it was supposed to be. We look at the plans and check out the spaces. We go deep. We go deep. But no, we don't want to impact the learning environment, the comfort. It's a priority, actually. We want to benchmark comfort complaints prior to and then current. So what did that look like in the past, and what does it look like now? So, yeah. Any other questions? Well, that's all I have. I appreciate the partnership, and thank you for the opportunity to give you an update.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And if I could just add in, as Wayne said, it truly is a team effort, not only with the representatives from Synergistic, as he pointed out, Joe and all of his team in maintenance, but it truly is every employee across this district, because there have been a lot of big asks of them during Thanksgiving and Christmas times, and the need, the request to unplug computers and unplug refrigerators. And as you can see by these numbers, our employees have responded to that request, and these numbers would not be where they are without every employee in MISD doing their part. So it truly is a team effort, and that's what makes this program successful.
So has there been or will there be communication with them on how well they are doing and what they've accomplished with this?
Yes, so for example, after Thanksgiving break, we kind of showed the principals, how did your campus, because that was really our first time to ask them, hey, start unplugging things. And, we had some that participated gung-ho and some that were a little more hesitant. And so we kind of showed those numbers to the principals, and it kind of became a little competition. And you saw some changes over the Christmas break because they don't like being at the bottom of the list. But it's fun competition. Yeah. It's not a, we're here to get you. It is, if you can do your part, please do your part. Now that we're starting to see this number, we have a principals meeting Thursday. I'm sure this number will pop up in front of them and just remind them of all of the hard work that they have put into it. It truly is paying off, and it allows us to do other things across the district that we would not be able to do without these savings. So.
All right. Well, thank you all very much.
Thank you.
And Joe, thank you. And thank you to Synergistic folks as well and everyone that made that happen. All right, next information item 7B, the athletic department update.
Thank you, Dr. Fuller. As you know, one of our process improvements this year is to have the opportunity for different departments to come forward to the board to share the focus of their work, what they're doing to continue to make Montgomery ISD the premier school district in the state of Texas, and the work that they're doing as it aligns to our strategic plan. This month, we are having our athletic department come forward to share the good work happening there. You might ask who is going to present that, because you only see a strappingly good-looking man in a dapper outfit. That is no less than our own Clint Hurd. Coach Hurd, take it away.
Well, thank you, Dr. Morrison, and good evening, board. Thank you for the compliment.
I was watching Mr. McFadden's reaction, that's all.
Try to ignore him as best I can. A lot of great things are going on under Dr. Morrison's leadership, and this is one of them. I get an opportunity to stand in front of you and talk about the Montgomery ISD Athletics. And on the first slide, Kim, if you would, I'd like to first start with our philosophy, which I feel like is in line with our strategic plan, is we believe a dynamic athletic department is vital to the total curriculum. One of the things about athletics is it's an important part of the curriculum. Obviously, we're second to the academic parts, and we believe very strongly in that, but it is something that we believe helps our school get better. We function with the total curriculum, and the other thing we're talking about is we want to teach our kids teamwork, we want to teach them responsibility, and in these philosophy, this is what our coaches go and work with our kids, and this is the main emphasis that we want to do. Go to the next one. At each high school in Montgomery ISD, we offer 18 sports, 43 teams. A combined 44.25% of our student body participate in UIL athletics. At each junior high, we offer 14 sports, 36 teams, and 42.9% participate at the junior high. So we do impact a large part of the student body. The reason why the athletics is a little bit higher is we offer more sports there. But our kids work really hard. I think they represent us very well, and we're trying to get that number up to get more kids participating, because again, we feel like we get them in there, we can help augment what's happening in the classroom. We go to the next one, please. We had and a goal one is academic achievement. And our premise in our athletic department is that they're students first and their athletes second. So, and one part of how we can like to show you how we do this, we had 123 kids so far this year have received academic all-district honors. We had 31 students receive academic all-state honors. Matter of fact, Leslie Williams, a football player at Montgomery High School, was named to the elite all-state academic team, which was a very high honor. And Montgomery High School's football team was a state finalist in the National Football Foundation Academic Excellence Award. So, we've really done a good job across the board. As you all know, 99.99% of all our coaching staff, they're teachers first. And they're in the classroom, helping them in the classroom and off. We go to the next one. I couldn't stand up here if I couldn't tell you some of the great things that we've done on the athletic field, both the field and the court. Montgomery won the District 25A championship. They were undefeated. They lost a tough game to Port Neches Grove. Came right down to the end, but they had a great season. Our MHS volleyball team qualified for the playoff, as tennis did. We did have two. We had Coach Bofing was named Coach of the Year for the 2021 season at Montgomery High School. Lake Creek volleyball won the District 25A championship, and they reached the quarterfinal round and lost a heartbreaker at Navasota. It was a tough loss. I felt really bad for the girls, but it was a hard-played game. Our tennis team won the district championship also, and also reached the quarterfinal round. And remember, in tennis, there's two seasons. There's team tennis, and then there's kind of individual tennis. So that was kind of a team event. Our Lake Creek boys and girls won the district championship in cross country and reached the regional meet. Taryn Driver, in her first year, I told her, there's nowhere to go, but you reached the highest point, I guess you get to stay the year. But she was the district coach of the year in her first year as head coach. And Mario Martinez, who does a wonderful job with our tennis program at Lake Creek, was coach of the year for the team tennis. As of March 20th, as this March, 16 of our students are going to go ahead and further their academic and their athletic career in the collegiate ranks. Now the number will rise as we get to the end of the year. One of the things that used to be signing day was the end all be all, but with the transfer portal and a lot of these things, a lot of colleges, the scholarships are coming out a little bit later. A kid transfers, hey, I've got a scholarship. Dwayne, would you like to come to Baylor and play football? Something like that. So it's becoming a different process for the high school senior with the transfer portal in college. If we go to the next one, please. On school safety, we host 739 events on our 4 campuses, both high schools and both junior highs. So if you got a 180-day school day, we're hosting a lot of events. Working with Chief Phillips, we've been able to partner together and come up with better processes of transferring the gates from the athletic event to central office, where we can go through and balance the gate, and deposit the money into, which Chris's favorite thing is when I tell him I've deposited the money. In partnership with Chief, he's helped us out with campus administration. We continue to inform our parents and students and our athletes that we have a zero tolerance for policy according to hazing and bullying. Those are the things that we continue to stress to our kids. Everybody has value. That's one great thing about athletics is everybody brings value to the team. It doesn't mean if you're the starting point guard or you're the 12th man on the bench, you bring value to that team, and that's something that our coaching staff stresses, and that's a constant message that we give. We go to the next one, please. In partnership with the finance department, which is Chris Lynn, we've improved our counting processes. If you have 739 events, you got 739 gates. So he's helped us as far as our processes of taking the money, counting the money, balancing the money, depositing the money, and interfacing with the finance department. So we have a very strong, when the audit comes, then they can look at athletics and pat us on the back and tell us we're doing a great job. He's also helped me tremendously with forecasting my future budget. It's always nice to talk to him and talk about these things, and he's always helpful. I have regular meetings with Jesse Alford, who's our head of maintenance, and Joe Kennard to ensure that our facilities, when people come, it's safe, it's clean, you know, those types of things. If we have something we need to get fixed, let's get it fixed. Sometimes Joe can fix it for us. Sometimes he can help us find a contractor to come in. And then, of course, I have regular meetings with the campus athletic administration talking about making sure that each of our head coaches, both in their club accounts and with budget money, are following MISD financial policy. So it's a constant, every week, hey, let's make sure we're doing this. Hey, we've seen this. Let's make sure we get this cleaned up. If we go to the next one, please. One of the things that we've started doing in athletics is I've started sending an intentional message to our coach. Today's a very challenging time for teenage boys and girls, and coaches are one of the first lines in the social dynamic of athletics. The glare of the spotlight of athletics can be sometimes overwhelming to a student athlete. So what I try to do is I try to send intentional messages talking about building culture, making sure that everybody understands how we can handle success and how we deal with failure, because that's one thing athletics does have, is the element of failure. And it's kind of like we always talked about when you're talking to a player, you can criticize the performance but never criticize the performer. And that's always stayed with me a long time. I can criticize your performance and help you get better, but I'm not criticizing you personally. It's not a personal attack. So I think that our staffs are doing very well with this. It's got a very positive response. So we just continually try to give them different things that they can use when they're sitting and talking to our student athletes. Next one. Communication and customer service. We've really worked hard at when people have questions, they send emails. We really worked hard at communicating. Lori and I, which I would be remiss not to tell you how wonderful Lori Poland is, my assistant. She's just wonderful. Anyway, as we get calls in, helping people and giving them timely information, you know, just like today. You know, the Lake Creek baseball team's going to Dayton and they're rained out, but the Lake Creek softball team is going to Porter and they can play. Well, you know, Dayton and Porter is not too far away, but I guess the way the weather is. So, you know, just making sure that we're communicating that. Again, working with Joe Kennard, making sure our facilities are clean. You know, we host a lot of events. A lot of people come to them. You'd be amazed how much toilet paper you can go through at a big athletic event, and having somebody there that can go in there and restock it, because nobody wants to walk up and say, excuse me, there's no toilet paper in the ladies' bathroom. You don't want to have that conversation. One other thing that, as far as customer service, that I wanted to talk to y'all about is our CAP agreement. That's our coaches, athletes, and parents agreement. Each coach has a preseason meeting with his team. And in that preseason meeting, we require them to have a PowerPoint. Now, part of that PowerPoint, we get to help them with. We have to meet these things. And, you know, what to expect from the coach, what the athlete should expect from the coach, what the coach should expect from the parent, what the parent should expect from the coach, what the athlete should expect from their parent. And they go through that. Part of that also is about how everybody has value. We all might be different, but we all have value, and we have to come together and be a team. Excuse me. Another thing it does is it helps parents get through the conflict resolution, because athletics is an emotional sport. People love their kids. Coaches have to make a decision. There's going to be conflict. We give them a roadmap of how to get through this conflict. It's a step-by-step process that they can go through. And these are the things that help make everybody experience better. You know, and again, be a part of the team, be a part of the parent group, you know, all these types of things. So that's kind of what I have. I'm very proud of my staff. I can't tell you, I work with a great group of men and women that are dedicated to our kids, both in the classroom and the sports arenas. And that's what I have for y'all tonight. Any questions?
Coach, I just want to say to those in the audience and listening, our athletic events are fun. And so if you haven't had a chance to come out to any of our events, please do. I have a great time at them, all of our extracurriculars, not just athletics, everything. So, there's a lot of great things going on, and I would just encourage folks to come out. Especially, I'm really glad with the CAP agreement that you just spoke about. I think it sets the right tone. Lets folks know that athletics is a privilege, and, our young men and women live up to those privileges every day. So please come see them in action. They're a great group of kiddos to watch.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Coach, thank you.
All right, you bet. Thank you.
All right, next, information item 7C, communication customer service update.
Thank you, Dr. Fuller. When I first came to Montgomery and started my listening and learning tour, and spent lots of time hearing about all the amazing things about our district and things we need to cherish and hold on to, and certainly our amazing employees were listed as the greatest strength. But during that entry time, there was lots of areas that were lifted up about ways we could improve. And one of the ways that was lifted up time and time again was communications. How do we communicate? Can we be more proactive in our communication? How can we be more transparent in our communication? How can we make sure that we not only try to do a great job educating our children, keeping them safe, and being good fiduciary officers of the taxpayer dollars, but to communicate that in a way that the community really understands and goes with us on this journey of trying to be the premier school district in the state of Texas. We talked about creating a communications department and making sure that we brought great communications talent to our district to help in that important work. I will say I had big thoughts and hopes. I will say those big thoughts and hopes not only were met but exceeded because of our Executive Director of Communications. So I am very proud to present Mr. Justin Moreno to give you the Goal 5 update and Communications Department update.
Thank you, Dr. Morrison, and let me first say that it's been a privilege to serve in this capacity over the past year and a half, and I'm thankful for the opportunity. And I do agree with Chrislyn that this will be the best board meeting ever.
We'll say there's a little over-under about what time we get out tonight, depending on so just no pressure, Justin.
No pressure. You can set a record or not.
Just a quick overview of our communications department. We're a lean and mean team. There are 3 of us. It is me, Jessica Grace, and Kim Foster. The overall, the buckets of the areas we handle are internal and external communications, multimedia production, video, which is also graphics and photo, media relations. We want to build strong relationships with our external media partners, and government affairs, which is a relatively new focus for our district. Performance objective 1 of the strategic plan is to provide opportunities for feedback from staff, parents, and students. Our first key performance indicator is that we will hold 4 town halls per year. We are on track to hit that target April 5th. The budget and bond town hall meeting at Montgomery High School will be our 4th town hall meeting. Process improvement this year, we've live streamed our town hall meetings on YouTube, and we've actually taken questions from folks at home who couldn't make it but wanted to ask questions about the bond, and we answered those questions on the live stream. Performance objective 2, providing stakeholders with effective external communications frequently throughout the school year. One target we wanted to improve on was our social media presence, really expand that reach. Our community, one thing I learned pretty quickly was our community really enjoys social media. So we wanted to increase our followers on social media by 5% each year. We may need to adjust that target because we've blown that target out of the water. Our target for Twitter was 4,157 followers. We are at, as of today, 4,298. And Facebook, at the start of the school year, our target was 3,011 followers, and we are now at 4,159. The next key performance indicator under this performance objective is satisfaction with Montgomery, our communication. The clarity of our communication will be at or above 90% each year. In our survey that was issued in the fall, we received a 93% approval rating from our parents on this key performance indicator, so we're pleased with that number. Next key performance indicator, as I mentioned, having positive relationships with our external media partners. There are some folks run from the media. I try to embrace the media as partners who can share the positive stories happening in our district. We target 48 positive district school stories to promote to either the Conroe Courier, Community Impact, or local news networks. As of today, we have 42, so I'm confident we can meet that number by the end of this school year. Performance Objective 3, which is providing stakeholders with effective internal communication. Each week, Dr. Morrison sends a district-wide email to all staff highlighting what's happening throughout the district, providing important updates. If there's a board meeting that week, we will provide a detailed update on what you all have done at each month during the meeting. 36 school years or weeks in the school year, so we target every Friday of the school year to send the MISD minute. Satisfaction with the clarity of communication from our staff. In the survey, 94% of our staff expressed satisfaction with how we're communicating with them. So again, we're pleased with that number. Building strong opportunities for a strong culture within our district is Performance Objective 4 of the strategic plan. 85% is our target in the each annual survey. We are a little bit under that target at 82%. So that would be one of those, when we color code our KPIs, that would be yellow. So we have a little bit of work to do. 82% is still a good number, but we want to meet or exceed our targets. Getting into transparency, this has been a huge focus for us. We want to target 90% satisfaction and transparency. It came back with 84% of parents saying we are transparent. That's still a great number for any district, but we want to be premier, so 90% is our target. Employees reporting that the transparency in the communication, so 84% for parents, 86% for employees. Again, strong number, but we'll be working to get to our target 90%. One area to try to increase that number is we have a new transparency button on our website where we put all important district data, statistics, anything that the public should be entitled to view. And finally, Performance Objective 5, multiple opportunities for two-way communication. Each year, we go out to the campus and have all staff meetings, or what we call roadshow meetings. So we target one in the fall, one in the spring. This year, we're actually going out to campuses 3 times. In the fall, we had our quote-unquote State of the District meeting with each campus. We did a bond update. We just wrapped those up last week. And starting next week, we're going to hit every campus to discuss the budget process and our ideas and the developments on the compensation plan. Satisfaction with customer service. This is a full district team effort. 91% of parents reported satisfaction. I think that number is outstanding. That's not the communications department. That's every single person in this district that's responsible for that number. So we're very proud of that, and it speaks to the culture of our district. There are 21 strategies in the strategic plan for communications. I'd love to go through every single one of them in deep detail, but I'm on a time limit here. So, our strategies really, each of them encompasses one of those buckets I talked about. So I will go through some of the more important ones and get through them pretty quickly here. So engaging with a third-party vendor to conduct annual district survey. This was an important one for us, as many of the KPIs in the strategic plan required survey data. We brought a third party to you for approval back in July, and we conducted that survey in October. Upon my entry, one of the first items brought to my attention was a need to address the website. Proud of the new website that we launched in September. All the campus websites are now, in general, on a uniform basis, easier to navigate, I think much more user-friendly, and overall, it's been a we received positive feedback on the website. New campus and district branding. You've seen graphics, fonts more in uniform on PowerPoints that come to you to the board or to the board meetings, and our colors. This is kind of communications nerd talk, but we actually have hexes that we go through and for our blue and our red and our purple and our blue. So and gold at Lake Creek. So we really kind of tighten up those processes. Training, this is a strategy and a strategic plan for our website. This happened in August for our website coordinators. Social media campaigns and best practices. We've launched several campaigns on social media, which has really contributed to our increased following. Just to name a few, we launched a Know Your Board campaign earlier this year to educate the public on what you all do as trustees and the important work you do on behalf of our district. Our Paving Our Path bond campaign is underway to educate the community on the facts of the bond. Upcoming, starting next week, you will start to see information on pre-K and kindergarten early registration, and we're really excited to launch a campaign highlighting our CTE offerings, featuring students in the program, students that have graduated from Montgomery ISD and are successful because of the programs they went through. So quickly, I am Montgomery ISD. This is a campaign we launched at the start of the school year, highlighting some of those employees that are oftentimes behind the scenes, but are critical to the overall work of our organization. Each week we feature a different employee on our website and social media. Our B1 Team Initiative, this is really intended to enhance our district culture. We are currently developing a culture of respect campaign being led by Amanda Davis and Teresa Tipton. I believe they will be bringing the culture of respect initiative to the board for approval or ratification later this year. Again, the Know Your Board, MISD, this was important for us to educate our community on the important work that you all do as a board. Principal Appreciation Month. We were excited in October to have the opportunity to recognize each of our 10 principals. We had some fun graphics that highlighted each of them. We had a really cool video for one of our newer principals, Bobby Ingalls and Carrie Ashlock at Lincoln Elementary, so that the community can get to know who they were. Our bond, we have an array of information on our website on the details of the bond, graphics, informational pieces, frequently asked questions, videos. Each Friday, we're putting out a short video on giving information on a certain aspect of the bond proposal. And again, Discover MISD CTE. This will be launching shortly. Super excited to highlight our students participating in CTE programs. And pre-K and kinder early registration. Starting on Monday, there will be a new webpage with all the information that our parents need to register and really highlight the early childhood programs in our district. Let's Talk, this is a tool that we're really excited about as it relates to collaborating with our community. This is a two-way communications tool that any individual, staff member, student, parent, community member can communicate with us. They pick a subject area. Their inquiry or question goes directly to that person over the subject area, so it streamlines the communication. It tracks how well we're doing as far as customer service and how quickly we're responding. To give you an idea, since September 7th when we launched, we are at 399 conversations or dialogues with folks in our customer service rating. When we respond, the individual who submitted the inquiry has an opportunity to give us a 1 through 10 rating. We are at 8.8 out of 10, and our average response time is less than a day. So some context, the national average for districts who use Let's Talk, the median or the average is 8.4, and the average response time is 2.2. So I'm really proud of our administrators that are responding in an average time of less than a day. A written district process for weather and emergency closure communications. This is something that we tackled fairly quickly, and we actually got to use yesterday. Never fun. Those decisions are always difficult, but when we make those decisions, we at least want the public to know that we had a process. And that process is on our communications website. We can't, I always say we're a small, lean and mean team. We don't know about everything that's happening on the campus level. So what we did this year was formed a committee of folks from each campus, and we meet with them 5 times a year, and we say, bring us your positive stories, and we want them all. So that has been really instrumental for us as a communications department to push out the positive stories happening on the campuses. Marketing tools to increase enrollment, enhance culture, and build awareness and support for various programs. The 3 social media campaigns that I discussed earlier, the Early Childhood Campaign, I Am Montgomery ISD, and Discover MISD CTE, are being implemented under that strategy in the strategic plan. Just a few other accomplishments. We launched a blog to share positive stories. We developed our first legislative platform. We are working with the District Advisory Committee to launch this year we really implemented a robust academic calendar development process, which I feel like was really appreciated across the district. We developed a calendar, so each campus was given a calendar of social media ideas to post throughout the school year. Convocation, I think that was a hit. Can't wait for it at Lake Creek next year. Frequent meetings with our PTO and PTA presidents. I mean, they're really some of our strongest advocates in the district. So if we involve them in some of the decision making and get their input, we're a better district for it. And a newer process that we've implemented is anytime we have a principal opening, we hold what we call principal characteristics meetings, where we go out to each campus and we gather input from students, parents, and staff members, and then we take that input back to our committee who screens the applicants and try to do the best we can to match what that campus desires with the applicants who put their name in the hat for the position. So what's next? We really want to look at our gold card process. Our district has a process where if you want to recognize one of your colleagues, you fill out a gold card, state how great they are, what maybe they helped you with a project. It goes to Dr. Morrison's office. He reads every single one of them, signs them, and it's kind of a point of pride for a lot of folks. We want to try to make that more robust, add students and parents to that process. Speaking of legislative platform, we really want to build a robust coalition of district and business and community members to help lead the charge as it relates to items at the Capitol that are being considered. If we have any input or ideas to make the legislation more beneficial for Montgomery ISD, we want a group of individuals that can advocate for those changes. We're working on more robust processes on crisis communication, so we're looking at scheduling some training over the summer for senior leaders and principals, and kind of shoring up our plans for crisis communication. And then starting next year, we will have a monthly digital magazine highlighting stories and amazing things happening on each campus.
Justin, very quickly, unsolicited because they didn't know I was going to ask this, but the board made a lot of important decisions this evening at the board meeting. How's the public and our staff going to know what happened at the board meeting?
Oh, well, we communicate with the public and staff after every board meeting, the items that you adopted, the information that was presented at each board meeting. We send out press releases when applicable or when necessary, and We make sure that all the great things that this board does for our district is well communicated and publicized.
You know, Justin, you've done so much in communication, and I can see it. I just had a couple instances recently where I was watching our neighborhood Facebook page, as I do, and there was a comment made about something, I can't remember what it was, that nobody told me about this and all this. Well, then I started watching neighbors chime in and said, no, they sent an email, and they sent a text message, and it's on the webpage. So, and that's happened more than 2 or 3 times. So it is what you're doing and what, Jessica, what all of you are doing. You've done a fantastic job with the communication, and it is very transparent. And there's another person that was kind of critical on some things, and then I saw the neighbors chiming in as well, saying, well, did you go to the last town hall meeting? Did you check the email? Did you go to the website? So the transparency that is now, that I see now, and that we've seen transform in the last couple of years has been really profound and very, very helpful to the community. But it's also given the community confidence in what we're doing because of the fact that we're able to communicate in a way that is very upfront and transparent.
Well, and I think that's a total team effort, and everybody on the board and on the leadership team has contributed to that sort of shift in culture where we have folks out there saying, no, they did communicate this, and this is where you can find that information. So thank you for that.
I want to say the same thing. I mean, what has happened in the last, not even been 2 years yet, has been absolutely amazing. And the value that you and your department has is just unbelievable. I will never forget driving down the road and on my favorite radio station, hearing that the teachers in MISD just got a raise, and I was like, what? It was absolutely amazing to hear that for the first time publicly like that. It was awesome. So can't wait to see the future next year with the list of even more great things you guys are going to bring.
Thank you.
All right, other questions or comments? Mr. Marino, thank you very much. Thank you to all your team. And we greatly appreciate all you do to help us stay out of the tabloids every once in a while. All right, ladies and gentlemen, information item 7D, monthly financial report. Are there any questions on the monthly financials? All right, with that, I would like to adjourn this meeting at 7:03 p.m.